Recording. Okay, good morning. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is the Rails Online Roundtable e-content options for schools. My name is Dan Bostrom, and I'm the Rails Member Engagement Manager. In a few minutes, I'm going to be turning it over to my colleague, Anna Beam. She's our e-content specialist. But first, I just want to go over a little bit of housekeeping. Anna and I are so pleased that you could join us, and we recognize that this is a very difficult time and there's a lot of uncertainty for schools. Rails is a multi-type system. We serve 4 different types of libraries: public, school, academic, and special. But schools do offer a unique challenge. So a lot of you might not be used to turning to Rails for resources, but we hope that today will inspire you a little bit more to think and to kind of imagine how we can help you, because that's a big part of what we do. Okay, so let's take a look at how we're going to operate today. Just a quick agenda. As soon as I finish with this introduction and welcome, I'm going to hand it off to Anna. And when she's done, we'll come back and do some Q&A. We do have plenty of time to do Q&A, and you'll notice if you look on your toolbar, there's actually a Q&A app. And if you open that, that's a place where you can ask questions. We'd encourage you to use that just so we can separate the chat and the Q&A. That always helps. And there's actually a way that you can upvote questions. So if you see someone else that's asked a question that you enjoy or that you want to have answered, use that feature, and that'll help us kind of keep track of things. So Anna's presentation will probably be about 30 minutes. We hope that you have a lot of good questions. We look forward to them. And at the end, we'll do a wrap up and we'll have everybody out of here by 11 a.m. Okay, so just a couple things before we get started. So if you are here today, it's probably because you're interested in ebooks, and the pandemic has pushed us a lot into talking about ebooks and buying ebooks. But did you know that ebook pricing is a big concern for a lot of libraries? It's such a big concern that we created an entire page on our website dedicated to explaining what's wrong with the current models. And I put 3 examples on here. So each ebook your library purchases for one of the big 5 publishers is only available to 1 user at one time. Libraries pay up to 6 times the retail price for ebooks that consumers pay. And many ebooks expire and disappear from the library's collection. None of that seems really fair, does it? So if you're unaware of the situation, I strongly encourage you to go check out our Pulse page on the Rails website. You can find that linked on the homepage under ebook issues. It's right there, right on the front page. So do check that out. Another way that you can stay engaged with us around this topic is through our EContent email list. And if you go to the Rails website and you log in using your L2 username password, and then if you click on your profile and look at my email lists, you can search in that list for electronic content. And that's a place where you're going to find libraries talking about the problems I just mentioned. There's also a way this is also a great way to stay on top of what we offer and different resources that we come up with, because we're always looking for new vendors and new opportunities to serve you with e-content. So the more that you engage on this issue, the stronger it makes our collective voice. So I do encourage you to do that. Speaking of voice, and I'll get to Anna in a second here, the My Library Is campaign is our effort to help libraries find their voice. And on our My Library Is website, mylibraryis.org, you're going to find things like talking points, marketing plans, videos, a lot more. So in May, we released this talking points document that you see on there. It's fully designed. It's a 1-page handout that you can take directly to parents, administrators, school board members, etc. And I also want to mention that we'll have grants available this fall, so look for more information on those, probably in late September or early October. Okay, so I've talked enough. It's time for me to turn this over to Anna. Anna Beam is the Rails e-content specialist. She's our expert when it comes to ERead Illinois, Biblioboard, and all things ebooks. And we're very lucky to have her today. Anna, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you,
Okay.
Dan.
Yep, I'm stopping sharing.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. Thank you for that introduction and for explaining those e-content issues so well. I think you did a better job at that than I could, and it's literally my job. So thank you. Okay, everybody can see my screen. It says e-content options for schools, all the good stuff. Okay, awesome. Great. Yeah, I just want to thank you all again for being here today as well. Like Dan said, I'm really excited to share this information with you. I know that a lot of you are looking for e-content for your schools, for your school libraries now. I've been fielding a lot of questions about this with a lot of the remote learning, hybrid learning, or preparing for the possibility of doing more remote learning in the future. I absolutely understand that this is a concern. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk today about 2 e-content programs that we offer through Rails that are available to you. I'm going to talk about ERead Illinois, Access 360, and then I'm going to talk about the Biblioboard library. I'm going to give you kind of an introduction to what each of those things are, tell you how you can get access to these programs for your students, and then I should have plenty of time to answer questions. And I know you have questions because you've been asking me for the last couple weeks. So,
Hey, hey, Anna, can I jump in here real quick? We're getting people just saying that your audio is a bit quiet. Could you maybe jack it up just a little bit?
yeah, you know what? I can try
Yeah,
unplugging.
that's better. No, that's better. That is.
This is better.
Yeah.
All right, I can
Is
just
that
talk
is?
louder.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
All right. So yeah, and feel free to jump in if you can't hear me. At any point, I will yell. No, I'm kidding. All right, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to talk about ERead Illinois first. So let's get, all right, ERead Illinois. So what is ERead Illinois Access 360? So first and foremost, it is the most basic way of describing ERead Illinois Access 360 is that it is a shared e-content collection. So it is a collection of over 47,000 ebooks and audiobooks that are available to members who sign up for the program. So the way that ERead Illinois started, it actually started in 2013 as a grant-funded project. It was funded by the State Library of Illinois, and the grant was awarded to Rails and to Illinois Heartland Library System. And each system decided on a platform to work with. The grant was designed to expand ebook access to people in Illinois. And so Rails went with a platform called Access 360. It's provided by our vendor partner, Baker and Taylor. And the Illinois Heartland Library System, which serves libraries in the southern half of Illinois, went with Cloud Library. And so Rails libraries have access to the Access 360 platform. Heartland libraries that are part of the SHARE consortium use Cloud Library. We do have, if you are a Heartland library, if you are in the Heartland Library System, but you are not a part of the SHARE consortium, you can join ERead Illinois Access 360 via Rails. That is an option for you, so I just want to mention that. Member libraries that have joined include all types of libraries. As Dan mentioned, we are a system that serves, we are a multi-type system. And so the majority of our members in ERead Illinois are actually public libraries. We have just under 250 public libraries that are a part of the shared collection. We do have a growing number of school libraries. We are up to 179 school libraries. We've jumped about 20 new school libraries have signed up in the last month. Which is an enormous jump for us. So we're pretty excited about that and excited to serve school libraries a little bit more directly. And then we have about 30 academic and special libraries combined that are also part of the shared collection. The collection itself is a popular materials collection. And so we really focus on buying content that is in demand, that is highly desirable for readers. So it ends up being a lot of bestsellers, a lot of titles that, maybe there is a movie that's coming out, a really popular film that is, based on a book. We'll buy that book for the collection. And then we also purchase additional copies of popular items to sort of manage the demand. So you might wonder, how do users get their hands on all of these popular ebooks? How do they access the content? When you sign up and join ERead Illinois, you get your very own Access 360 website where this content lives. So users can then access the content via that website or via the Access 360 app. And they would just sign in to the app or to the website with their library card or with a login. The app is compatible with most devices. And including Chromebooks, I want to mention, I get a lot of questions from school libraries about Chromebooks, especially if you're a one-to-one school. You can access Access 360 via a Chromebook. We recommend that you do that with the Access 360 website as opposed to the app. I just want to mention that now. For school libraries, I also want to mention that Access 360 has been integrated into Follett Destiny. One of the really cool things about working with our vendor partner, Baker and Taylor, is that they were acquired a couple years ago by Follett. And so they've actually been working to sort of merge their systems together, or I guess not merge, integrate the system so that they work a little bit more seamlessly together. And so if you are a school that uses Follett Destiny and you sign up for ERead Illinois Access 360, you can actually have the ERead collection show up in your Follett Destiny catalog. And so it's, and then students would go there to check out and search and browse for the ebooks. They wouldn't actually have to go to the Access 360 website unless you wanted them to. So it kind of removes a step out of the process, makes those ebooks a little bit more accessible to students, which is pretty exciting. I want to mention some of the sort of circulation rules, some of the policies when it comes to checking out materials. Like Dan mentioned, for these ebooks, since it is a popular materials collection and the materials come from the sort of mainstream publishers, it is a one book, one user model, which means that one person can have one copy of an ebook at a time. And if you want an ebook and it's already checked out, then you're going to have to wait for it for a little while. It's not our favorite model, and I hope it changes in the future. Users can have up to 5 items checked out at a time. The loan period for the shared collection is 14 days, and users can renew items if no one's waiting for that item. You can also have up to 5 items on hold at a time. And we do try to keep the wait times for these materials very low. So one of the things I mentioned when I say this is a popular materials collection and we buy additional copies of the really popular stuff, what we do is we try to keep a really low holds ratio so that nobody is waiting too long to read, the new Hunger Games book. So what we try and do is we try and purchase an additional copy for every 5 people who are waiting for an item. And so that way, no one is going to be waiting 6 months to get their hands on the book that they want to read. So I want to make sure I mention that. A couple of frequently asked questions that I get specifically from school libraries about this collection. So, it's 47,000 items. I mentioned that the biggest membership in the program is from public libraries. And so you might say, okay, you've got all of these books that are intended for adults, but I don't want my elementary school students to access those. Can I limit the content that my students can access? And the answer to that question is yes. You absolutely can limit the content. It is through a feature called scoping. So you can scope your collection to a specific audience. It's a feature that was built specifically for school libraries to use. And what it means is that you can take the shared collection and you can decide, you can limit it by the audience or the age assigned to materials. You can limit it by the subjects that have been assigned to materials. You can limit it by author, and you can limit even down to the title level. It is a really, really, a really robust tool. You can get really specific with it. So for example, you've got this collection and you say, okay, I don't want my students to access anything by James Patterson. Great, you can limit, you can cut out all of James Patterson's titles, but then you say, oh, well, he did write a handful of books for kids, and so I want to include those. You can go in and select the specific titles of his that you want included and then put them back into the collection. So it really is sort of fine-tuned to whatever you want it to be. And then the other question that I get is, this is great, but can I add more content? If say we've got a class that's doing assigned reading for like Lord of the Flies, can I add more copies of that so that an entire classroom can read it? And the answer is yes. There is something called the Unbound program, which is where we put you in touch with somebody from directly at Follett. And what they do is they set you up with the ability to purchase materials that'll go directly into your Access 360 site, your ERead Illinois collection. And to the users, it looks like it's part of the whole collection, but those materials are then only available to your users. They're not part of the bigger shared collection. So you can expand what is available just to your students via going Unbound. So you might be asking another question that I get often is, okay, that sounds awesome. How much does it cost? There is an annual membership fee to be a part of ERead Illinois. We try to keep it affordable and equitable, fair to all of our members. And so it is a $250 base fee. Every member of ERead Illinois pays that base fee. And then we add a population fee, and I've added a chart here that will show you, sort of what your population fee might look like based on, for schools, we go by FTE. So we want to know number of students, and then I believe it's full-time staff. We don't need to know part-time staff or support staff, just students and full-time staff. So $250 base fee, population fee, and then we also add 0.5% of your collection budget to that. And that is what you would pay for an annual membership to ERead Illinois. That annual membership runs on our fiscal year, which is July 1st to June 30th. If you join after July 1st, so if you were to join tomorrow, we would actually prorate the fee based on when you join. So for that first year, you'd pay a little bit less than what your full annual fee would be. One of the big questions that I get is, can we join as individual buildings, or do we join as a district, or can we join as group of buildings? And the answer is yes to all three. You could join however you want. You can join as an individual building. You could get all the middle schools together in your district and join as a group of buildings, or you could join as an entire district with all of your school libraries included. We recommend that if you think everybody in the district is going to want to be a part of this, that you just go ahead and join as a district, because we charge that $250 base fee for every contract. And so if you have one contract as a district, you pay $250 once. If each of your schools signs up separately in separate contracts, then you end up paying that fee however many contracts you have. It also, saves us a little bit of time and organization on our end. It makes it run a little bit more smoothly if you sign up as a whole district for us. The question I get for that, though, is then, okay, if we sign up as a whole district, but we've got elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, but we don't want the elementary school students to be having access to the same ebooks as the high school students, how do we get around that? And the answer to that is that you can actually set up separate Access 360 sites. You can have multiple Access 360 sites with one contract. So we recommend that you set up one site that is for all of your elementary schools, set up one site for all of the middle schools, set up one site for all of the high schools, and then scope each site to the specific audience level. And that way, each grade level has the content that is appropriate to them, but you're still all under one contract. I also want to mention that ERead Illinois membership, it does renew every year. So in the spring, usually mid-April, we will reach out to you and say, hey, it's time to renew ERead Illinois. We're going to have you send us updated information on your population and collection budget numbers, and then we recalculate your fee. So your fee can fluctuate from year to year depending on if your population grows or shrinks, and same with your collection budget. And then I also want to mention that if your population is under 1,000, all you pay is the $250 base fee. There is no collection budget or population component for a population that's under 1,000. So I want to make sure I mention that. And so you say, okay, this is all awesome. How do I sign up for this? I've got the steps listed here. First thing that you would do, you want to go to the ERead Illinois website, or you could go straight to ereadillinois.com/join. You are going to log in with your L2 credentials. And then once you do that, the schools that you are affiliated with should pop up on the screen. You just need to check the box next to the district or to the school buildings that you want to have join. And it's going to take you to a form where you're going to put in your contact info, and your population and collection budget information. You will have a little box you need to check at the end of that form that says, I accept and agree. It'll calculate your annual fee for you, so you'll be able to see what your fee would be. And you say, yeah, I agree. That's what I'm willing to pay for a year of access to ERead Illinois. And then you smash that submit button that's at the bottom of that form. Within a few minutes, you will get a welcome letter that gives you more information on getting all set up with ERead Illinois Access 360. And that welcome letter will have a link to another form that you need to fill out. And this one is a technical setup form. So you click on that link, it's going to take you to a Baker and Taylor website, and it's going to ask for some specifics about your school library setup. So once you fill that out and submit it, the faster you fill that out and submit it, the sooner your site gets set up. Because once that goes to Baker and Taylor, they start working on building your specific Access 360 site. It usually takes them about a week. They've done a really fantastic job of expediting the process this year with everything that's going on, but it still takes a few days to get all set up. You'll get an email from them once it is with the specific link, your URL, that'll take you to your specific site. And then, you can have fun with it from there. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for it to get set up, I recommend visiting the ERead Illinois website, the support page for documents, training resources, and there is a really fabulous school library launch kit that Baker and Taylor put together that includes a checklist on some things that you can do to sort of get the students and the teachers informed and excited about Access 360. So those are the steps to sign up and get started with it. I think I'm going to pause there before I talk about Biblioboard and ask Dan if there's any questions that need to be answered.
Oh boy, are there. No, it's great. Thank you folks for all the questions so far. We've had a lot of them. And so I'll try to get to everybody's, but we do want to save some time for Biblioboard. Okay, so the first one, and actually I should note, Marcia, you answered a question, or you asked a question about accessing Rails content. I sent you my email. Please check out that answer and contact me after this session. If you don't know if you're a Rails member or if you don't know how to get in touch with us, I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more. Okay, so Anna, for you, the first question, yep. Amy says, I thought the ERead books were not able to be seen in Destiny, but Access 360 books we thought would be seen in Destiny and the ERead site.
Yeah. So if you have, integration with Fallout Destiny is a little bit more complicated than just saying, oh yeah, they're integrated. So if you have Destiny version 17.5 or higher, you can integrate your ERead Illinois Access 360 ebooks into your Destiny catalog. This is sort of a new thing. It's within the last year they've been rolling this out. And you do actually need to get in touch with somebody at Baker and Taylor to initiate that process. It's not automatic. Once you set up Access 360, it doesn't automatically happen. I have that person's email address. I did not include it in this PowerPoint, however, but if I can find it in a minute and add it to the chat. But there is somebody at Baker and Taylor that you will need to get in touch with and say, hey, I want to put my Access 360 books into Destiny, and they can do that for you.
Awesome. Okay, Gail says, is it one book, one user at each institution, or are the copies shared between the 300 plus libraries who are members?
They are shared between the 300 plus libraries who are members. It is one book, one user at your institution for your unbound collection, but for the shared collection, it's if I place a book on hold, you're going to be waiting in line behind me. At another library for it. This is part of the reason why we do the additional copies. We do put a lot of effort into keeping those wait times really low because there are so many people who share the collection. We want to make sure that it's short wait times for everybody who participates in ERead Illinois.
Okay, I want to follow up on that question from Amy. She says, like the books I purchased, I can see in Destiny, but the ones I didn't specifically purchase, I can't see.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it would be the shared collection items are the ones that you can't see right now, is the ones that are available to everybody else in ERead. Though that's where we would have to pull Baker and Taylor in and have them switch on the integration. The person at Baker and Taylor, her name is Christina Bonson. I'll at the end of all of this, I'll grab her email address and drop it into the chat for everybody.
Yeah, I do want to mention that you should all be very thankful that Anna spends a lot of her time talking to Follett and Baker Taylor, so that we don't have to.
Yeah.
Whenever someone asks me a complicated question, I'm like, okay, I'm going to need to talk to Anna, and Anna's going to have to talk to Baker Taylor. Okay, Anonymous has a good set of questions here, and I'm going to skip over to Anne Marie because I want to get to this one. What are the actual steps for using Fallout Destiny with ERead Access 360 and getting Unbound set up? Please point us to the link in the email address for each. Thank you.
Yeah. So for using Follow Destiny, again, getting the ERead Illinois books into your Follow Destiny onto that platform, it is going to be reaching out to Christina Bonson at Baker and Taylor. She can switch on that integration for you. I want to say it takes about a week for that as well. It's not an instantaneous switch. For the Unbound books, that is where we get you in touch with somebody from Follett. We actually reach out to Brett Wheeler is his name at Follett, and he will in turn find the correct rep for you to speak to. And then they will contact you directly. They'll get you all set up with an account, and then you can start purchasing items that way. And they can point out the specifics of how to make sure that goes into the ERead your ERead collection, as opposed to into whatever other collection that you could possibly go into. But yeah, that's where my librarianing skills, come in useful, where if I don't know the answer, I find you the person who does. And those people are the people at Baker and Taylor and at Follett.
Okay, so Anonymous says, please address the scoping issue for K through 5. Our current access is K through 12. How do I best filter for the kids to only see K through 5? Maybe parentheses, maybe grade 6 levels, not YA adult. Thank you so much. Great product. And then, and this is second part of the question. So
Okay.
this person says, I asked the scoping question. I know our administrator has looked into scoping. We have joined K through 12. Can we still scope for K through 5, or do we need to join separately?
So you do not need to join separately. You're one district, so you have one account, one ERead Illinois account. What you can do is we can set you up with a second Access 360 site. And so what you would do is you would take that first Access 360 site and then scope it to whatever level you want. So if that's the younger level, you can scope it to K through 5. And then your second brand new Access 360 site you would take and then scope for 6 through 12. The scoping is a little bit involved, and I can, if you want to send me your email address, I can send you some resources about that. It's all available on the ERead Illinois website, actually on the support page that I've got up on the screen right now. If you go there, then there is a scoping guide that kind of walks you step by step on how to log in and do that. But the first thing that you need to do is, reach out to me. I'll send you the link to set up another Access 360 site. And then once you set up that second site, you can scope them separately.
Okay. Yep. A lot of questions about scoping. Let's see here. My high school uses Access 360, but I've not promoted it at the middle school level. How do I scope the collection for my middle school students?
Yeah, similar thing. We'd probably recommend that you set up a separate Access 360 site for the middle school students. Scoping itself, the scoping process, it does take a little bit of time. So you log into the admin side of things on your Access 360 site, and then there's this whole portal where you can see the collection. You can kind of pick and choose subjects that you want included and excluded. You can pick and choose authors. You can pick and choose audience levels, and you run through step by step each of those things. And then you smash a execute button at the end, and it takes a little bit of time. You execute that collection. It takes a little bit of time for it's a big database full of a lot of ebooks. After a few hours, though, you should start to see your site transform. You should start to see only the books that you've allowed on there showing up on the site. So it is a little bit of work, but again, that first step would be setting you up with a separate site to scope one way and another site to scope the other way.
Yeah. Okay. And we had another question here. Can we set up multiple accounts? Oh, actually, this doesn't apply to scoping. Can we set up multiple accounts with our contract now, or only at renewal time?
Yeah, you can do it now. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
great.
If you wanted to add schools, like if only the middle schools joined and all of a sudden you want to add your elementary schools, since we are not in the renewal period right now, we would need to set you up with a separate contract for that. But if your whole district has already signed up and you decide you want to split up your sites right now, then we can do that right now. It doesn't have to be during the renewal period.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. Okay. And Angela, thank you. Hi, Angela. I see your. We'll get in touch with you after this. I saw your messages, so I appreciate that. Just want to acknowledge that. And Tim asks, will this presentation be available to view after the webinar? Yes. We'll find a way to get you Anna's slides so you can click on them. And one of the things I was thinking is maybe we could put them on that EContent issue page.
Yeah, sure.
And then also we'll put it into the EContent or the electronic content EContent email list so that you all have motivation to go to that and sign up for that, that list. So thanks, Tim. And Kara, I believe you asked the same question. So, okay. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. I think we answered a lot of the scoping problems. So I want to give time to give Anna to go over to Biblioboard. So yeah, if you do have any questions, keep putting them into the Q&A. We'll try to tackle them after Biblioboard, but I want to move us along as quickly as possible.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to talk about another e-content platform now. It's a little bit of a mind shift, so thank you for asking all those fantastic questions, because that was good, a good sort of point to break for a minute. Okay, so let's talk Biblioboard. So this is another e-content platform that Rails provides access to. It is a little bit different than ERead Illinois Access 360 though, and so I'm going to kind of explain some of those differences and how you can access it. So, you know, what the heck is the Biblioboard library? The sort of most basic level, it is also an e-content collection. It's available via a platform called Biblioboard, and you can go to Biblioboard to access over 44,000 items. It's mostly ebooks, but it is also a lot of images, and there are some video clips and some sound, some audio, and more. Biblioboard is available to everyone in the state of Illinois. And when I say everyone in the state of Illinois, you do not have to belong to a particular library. That's, you know, it doesn't have to be a Rails library. It doesn't have to be a Heartland library. Literally, you just need to be inside the borders of Illinois. You just need to be inside the state in order to access the collection, the materials that are in the collection. It is a pretty unique collection. So unlike ERead Illinois, you're not going to find a ton of really popular materials. You're not going to find a ton of bestsellers. It is more small presses, independent publishers. You're going to find materials in the public domain, things that are self-published, etc. So it is a little bit more eclectic than what you're going to see in ERead Illinois. So how are your users going to access this content? Like I said, so Biblioboard is the platform where you can find these materials. You can go to either the Biblioboard website or download the Biblioboard app. The app is available for both iOS and Android. However, you do not need to log in order to find and read a book. You do not need a library card. Login is optional if you wanted to save something to read for later, but you do not need to log in. You just literally go to the website, click on a book you want to read, and start to read it. Maybe my favorite thing about Biblioboard is that this one, all of the content that is available via the Biblioboard library is available for simultaneous use. So these are multi-user, none of that one book, one user stuff. No holds, no waits. Once you find something you want to read, you just click on it. Everybody can be reading the same book at the same time, including everybody in an entire classroom. You know, it's all available to everyone all the time. Very exciting. So yeah, that sounds great. You know, how the heck do I get access to the Biblioboard library? Really, you know, maybe my second favorite thing along with the simultaneous use part is that for this one, you know, there's no cost to you. There is no signing up. There's no joining, no forms. This is a free service that Rails provides. I'm not supposed to say it's free. It is provided by Rails. You do not pay anything for it. We've paid for it for you. So all you need to do in order to access the materials or make them available to your users is to take these links that I've posted here, this illinois.biblioboard.com or railsforschools.biblioboard.com, and make those available either on your website or your list of online resources, however you get this information out to your students. We'll explain the difference between those two links in just a second. So that is all you need to do, is just take those links and make them available to your users. So I want to expand a little bit on the content that's available. And I know one of the questions that I get asked the most often about Biblioboard is, can I limit the kinds of content that my students can access? So it's a lot like the scoping question for ERead Illinois. And the answer is a little bit more complicated. The answer is sort of. So we have all of this content, these 44,000 items available via the Biblioboard library. And I'd have schools asking all the time is, okay, I love this. I love the idea of this, but how do I make it so that my students can't see the materials that are for adults? So they can't read the adult novels that are available on the site. And so what we did is we actually took the collection and we took the materials that are in the collection that are appropriate for a school-aged audience or are educational materials, and we put them on a separate site. And that separate site is called Rails for Schools. And so that's what the 2 links that I posted are. So illinois.biblioboard.com, that is the main Biblioboard collection. That is everything that is available in that collection. That's all 44,000 items. The Rails for Schools collection is limited to materials from those 8 publishers that you see right there. So it is materials from Abdo, from Capstone, Time for Kids, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you go to that second link, railsforschools.biblioboard.com, this is what you're going to be able to find are the materials that are just for school-aged users. So the Abdo, Capstone, Time for Kids books, you know, I'm sure familiar with those. Those are great titles. You know, a lot of STEM materials, some social sciences, etc. And then along with that, you're also going to find a collection called Recovering the Classics, which are classic books that are in the public domain. Most of them are novels. There are a few nonfiction titles in there. And it's a really cool collection because, you know, you can access those books and you can read them. We do have a few of those books that end up on the bestseller list every once in a while. For example, Little Women, when the movie came out this past fall, that book, you know, became very, very popular again. And so we have free access to it via Biblioboard. Don't need to wait. Everybody can access it at the same time. But the really cool thing about Recovering the Classics is that this is a collection where the publisher has gone and solicited new sort of reimagined modern covers for some of these classic books. And so it's a way to kind of engage with these classic texts in a new way. And then on top of that, we have made those covers, those images available for you to use. And so you can actually go onto the Rails website and download some of these images and, you know, make posters out of them, or, you know, put them on your website or make trading cards. And we've added, I want to say we've added 35 more. If you've seen this collection in the last couple of years, we've started adding to it again. So for example, we just added this A Journal of the Plague Year. Felt pretty appropriate for 2020. So on top of Recovering the Classics, there's also a really large collection called Biblioboard Core. And those are primary source documents that are organized by subject. And so you'll find everything from Abraham Lincoln to, you know, there's Alexander Graham Bell, historical figures, historical events, places, people, art movements. It just more than I could conceive of right now. It's tons and tons of materials. And a lot of those also had teaching guides included, so you can go and use those documents for projects, etc. And then there is also a collection that we've separated out of content in Spanish. And it includes half of the Time for Kids books, those, you know, those titles, half of those are in Spanish. And then also books from Spotted Owl Press for early learners. So that's the additional content available via the Biblioboard library. I think that is my last slide about Biblioboard. Yeah, because there's my contact info. All right, I'm ready for your questions about this.
Okay, that's great. Don't be a stranger, I like that. Okay, so the great one, Susan asks, how long do things remain in the Biblioboard collection?
That is a great question. And there's not a super simple answer. Most of the material that's in the Biblioboard collection is there forever. The vast majority of the material, so when we purchase material that goes into Biblioboard, we purchase it in packages. And so it is, you know, we'll get a big dump of books that we put in there that we make available to you. And then we just have access to that in perpetuity. So we'll have it forever. There are exceptions to this. And one is that we have a collection called Pop-Up Picks that's in the Biblioboard library. If you see pop-up picks, there are some materials for students that end up in that collection. Those rotate out about every 4 months. We'll get a new collection of pop-up picks. So those are available temporarily. And then if you're on the main Biblioboard site, these are not things that are on the Rails for Schools site, but the main Biblioboard site, we do have a collection that we recently added to encourage people to fill out the census. And that collection includes some of the like Arcadia publishing titles. If you've ever seen those little like town history books that have like the sepia tone covers, those are available in the census collection, but those are available temporarily. So we have access to those for a year. They're going to expire next summer.
Great,
But everything else we've got.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Amy asked a great question. Thank you, Amy. Is everything in the Rails for Schools collection within the larger collection?
Yes, yes, it is. And that's a great way of describing it. Everything that's in Rails for Schools is in the main Biblioboard collection, but everything that's in the main Biblioboard collection is not available in Rails for Schools. So.
Yeah, great questions. Keep them coming, and it doesn't need to be about Biblioboard. It can be about anything e-content related. You have Anna here, who is an expert on ebooks, and I'm just seeing like suddenly I'm seeing like 5 different questions coming. But use her; she's a great resource. Okay, so Brooke says, okay, so I'm debating purchasing Overdrive books for our students who are last-minute remote. I'm sorry, Brooke. That's a tough situation. However, I like Access 360. And our staff and students are used to it. How is the cost compared to Overdrive, and do they have the same restrictions and selection? Ooh, this is a tough question, Anna.
It is, and unfortunately, I don't know what the cost would be for Overdrive. That you'd have to speak to a rep at Overdrive and get a quote from them. We don't work as closely with them as we do with Baker and Taylor, so I just don't know. As far as the same restrictions go, a lot of the restrictions that are placed on ebooks are placed there by the publishers. So the one book, one user model, a lot of the price points, that is something that is dictated by the publishers. And so the vendors, Baker and Taylor and Overdrive, have very little control over making any changes to that. So you will run into the same, very similar, if not the same situation with Overdrive. Overdrive and Baker and Taylor are comparable. They're very similar products.
Yeah. And I also say that yeah, Brooke is saying it's so expensive, $6,000 base. That's a big difference between a $250 base and a $6,000 base. But we won't talk. We won't try to like badmouth Overdrive, because they do some cool, interesting stuff, and they've been a good mouthpiece for a lot of the ebook changes that are happening. So I appreciate that. Okay, Jill asks, in the Rails for Schools, are they appropriate for all school ages K through 12?
That's a great question, and I want to say that most of the content probably skews towards like elementary or middle grade. As a lot of it is like the Abdo and the Time for Kids stuff. The classic novels, I think, are probably, a lot of those are appropriate for a slightly older audience, as well as some of the Biblioboard core stuff. But it's, it wasn't designed with a, specific grade in mind. It was more just, we're going to put all of the educational content in one place, and then let you decide what you want to make it, send to your students to use. So that's kind of a tough.
Yeah, but Jill, based on what I know of the collection, I would say that a lot of the novels that are in there, that would typically be for like high school students, aren't like inappropriate, if that makes sense. They're just like, they're like canon works that don't have any adult material in them. Basically, that's what I would say. Okay, great question from Annie. She says, can the link be posted to our website? I know that there are restrictions sometimes with posting on the web to specific sites.
Yes, it can be posted to the website, and we encourage it. Please post the link on your website. Put the link on your website. I would say, if you're going to use one of those links that I put in the presentation, let me go back to that slide really quickly. Either illinois.biblioboard.com or railsforschools.biblioboard.com, because that will bypass any, sometimes Biblioboard will try and get you to log in. It'll bypass any login screen. It'll just take you directly to the specific question. So we recommend absolutely put that Rails for Schools link on your website.
So someone really wants to be part of the presentation, it seems. Yeah. Uh, if you can see Anna's video, her cat is really having a good time. It seems like there. Okay, so and actually, this is great. A comment from Carol. The different thing about Overdrive is that you can get some things as class sets as a rental,
Hmm.
or pay per circ model, which allows for simultaneous use for classes.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. And that I think is definitely an advantage of going with Overdrive. The most comparable thing that is available with ERead is that Unbound collection. And I know that a lot of school libraries take advantage of Unbound for that reason. But that's something where you'd work with Follett and Baker and Taylor on building class sets.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so question from Anonymous. We had complaints from users about having to log in each time they access a book. Is this still the same, or is there a process in place where the user can remain logged in?
Is that for Access 360 or for
That's
Biblioboard?
a great question. I don't. Please tell me, Anonymous, if they. Okay, well, let me know which one in the chat, which one that is for. Okay, Kara, let's go to Kara's question while we wait. I just signed into Rails for Schools. Is there a way to adjust the screen so that students only see the Abdo type materials?
The answer to that question is I can adjust the screen, so I can make those changes, but individual libraries cannot change that. So you wouldn't be able to change it so that your students only see Abdo, but I can go in and change it for everybody, which is something that I could do if that's something that school libraries want. If they want me to change it, I'm happy to do that. But that's yeah. So yes and no.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It was Access 360. So let me read the question again. We had complaints from users about having to log in each time they access a book. Is this still the same, or is there a process in Access 360 where the user can remain logged in?
Um, if you are using the app, then when you download the app onto your device, you sign in once. You sign in the first time, and it should keep you logged in. So you won't need to sign in again. If you are on the website, you will probably need to sign in each time that you want to access a book. But with the app, you shouldn't have to. If you are having problems with that with the app, that's where we will get you in touch with somebody with the support team from Baker and Taylor, and they can investigate why that's happening and maybe adjust some settings to make sure that it doesn't happen for your users in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I also want to mention that Amy said you can just see the Abdo materials by selecting the publisher's collection in Biblioboard from the larger collection. That's absolutely true.
Yes, yeah, you can link directly to each of the publishers' collections. It's
Yeah, and individual
yeah,
books too, right?
yeah. You can
If
link
you,
to. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's it. That's it. That's the tweet. Okay, great. Kara asks, can anyone use the Access app even if we don't have a Follett or Destiny system?
Absolutely, yes. So even if you do have Follett, so no matter what, when you sign up for eRead Illinois, you get set up with an Access 360 site. If you have Follett Destiny, you can choose to make those items available in Follett Destiny, but you don't have to. And so if you don't have Follett Destiny, then you never have to worry about it. You can use the Access 360 app or the website. That's what all of our public libraries do. Many of our school libraries do that. And I even have some school libraries that have Follett where they're like, nope, our students are used to Access 360. We're just going to keep using the app.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, Kara, thank you for being patient with us. Kara asked. Kara is at a school that gets their catalog through an academic library, and
Mm.
so they have Alma.
Mm-hmm.
Which most of the and Kara, I will say that I think that there's a number. Are there academic libraries that are using Access 360?
Yes, we have 23 academic libraries that are part of eRead Illinois Access 360. I am familiar with the migration to Alma, and I know right now there are a handful of issues authenticating with Alma, authenticating Access 360 materials with Alma, and I've been in touch with the folks at Baker and Taylor, and they are working on it. They are working on a solution via Open Athens. And I think weekly we are in discussions about it. So we'll hopefully have a solution for that very soon.
Yeah, Kara, and yes, Kara, you can reach out to Anna for help.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure to get you know, and the funny thing is there are so many, we serve so many different types of schools and public libraries and special libraries and academic libraries that there will always be situations that are very unique. And there will always be situations where we have to do you know, special solutions for certain libraries. Not everybody, surprisingly, not everybody in the entire school, you know, landscape of Illinois has Follow Destiny. Some of you are using very different systems, and that's fine. If we can figure out, we'll work with you. We'll figure it out and work with you. We have a great IT staff at Burr Ridge. We have partners who know a lot about this stuff, a lot about the integration. And as Anna's already talked about, she spends a ton of time on the phone with Baker and Taylor and Follett, trying to figure out solutions and fixes for these type of things. So. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions, but it looks like maybe we still have about like 10 minutes left. If you do have questions, we can banter here for a little bit just to kind of give you some time to think of them or ask them. Just a couple of reminders. We're gonna send this. We're gonna send this out. You'll get an automatic link to the YouTube video. You're also going to be able to go and access this YouTube video of the full presentation whenever you want. If you go to the Rails YouTube site. We will find a place to post Anna's slides so that you have the opportunity to use them and look at them and review them and that type of thing. And then please don't hesitate to get in touch with either Anna or myself about questions about this stuff, because we're always happy to help and kind of guide you through it. We understand that as school librarians, a lot of you are the only person in your building or district who does what you do. And so it feels lonely and it feels very like isolating, especially now. So we're trying to make ourselves available as much as we can to be there to help out. So, okay, Deb's got a great question. If I search within the Rails for Schools link, does it only search the modals here? Modules?
Modules.
Modules. Oh boy. Here or the complete collection?
It only searches the modules that are in Rails for Schools. So the ones that I had on that screen there, those 8 that showed up, the Abdo, Time for Kids, Plimpton, Recovering the Classics, etc. In the Rails for School link, you're only going to be able to find materials that are in those modules. You're not going to find materials in the larger collection. And they actually, since it is a collection that is intended for school-aged users, Biblioboard is taking the extra step of making it a little bit difficult to find the other Biblioboard site, to find the main Biblioboard site. If you try and switch to the other site, you're going to have a tough time finding the button unless you have the direct link to it. And so they've made it so that you know, students, as they can't really access the other materials unless they try really hard.
Okay, that is the end of our questions. Do you want to, Anna, do you want to plug any of the other eContent resources that you think would be appropriate for schools? Oh, okay. No, and just as I say that, Anne Marie has a question. Thank you, Anne Marie. I appreciate the question. She says, Anna,
yeah.
Please post the contact information for B&T and Follett contacts you mentioned before you go. Thank you for a helpful presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Give me a minute to find that
Yeah.
info.
Do you want to stop sharing your screen and I'll start sharing mine so that you can look for it?
Yes, let me do that. So I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
And Dan, while I'm looking for this, if the only other thing I wanted to plug was Inky. Do you want to talk about Inky.org for a minute while I do this?
I can do that. Yep. Okay. So Inky, and actually, I'm going to take you all there. You know what? I got to stop sharing again. Okay. So we have a writer's site called inky.org, and this is a place where you can actually allow your students to create their own ebook. And I'm going to pull it up right here, inky.org. Okay, and start share. I'll share my screen. Okay, and it looks like this. Basically, we've done the same thing that we did for Biblioboard, we did for Inky. We purchased a statewide subscription to software that's called Pressbooks. Pressbooks is a way that you would create and format an ebook. So if you come to inky.org, and this is a link that you can put on your website, if you can go to create, this video will give you more information on how to do that. But if you click create your ebook, it's going to take you to our subscription that, again, you can access from anywhere in the state of Illinois, and you can start formatting your ebook. So it works. So typically it's probably better for older kids, kids that might be like writing a chapter book or a novel or whatever, that type of thing. A lot of the questions that I get from people is, can kids create graphic novels? And that's a little tricky, just because you would have to make each page like an image itself. And I tell people that it's not really set up for that. But it is a wonderful way. I mean, so if you had kids that were aspiring writers, or wanted to do something where they were, creating their own book for a class, or like a project or something like that, they could take a Word document, format it in Pressbooks as an EPUB version, and then put it on something like Biblioboard, or put it into your collection as a book. So that's Inky.org. We're really excited about this. We hope that you'll use it. It's a cool tool, and again, it's totally available for free at any time. Okay, so that is Inky.org. I do see I have some chats
Thanks,
here.
Jen. So I just want to let everybody know. So I put the information for requesting Destiny Access 360 integration into the chat. It's the email address you want to send an email to, destiny-accessintegration@baker-taylor.com. And then they are asking for information, your school name, your district name, your Follett account, and your contact information. So if you send that to that email address, they can get you set up with integration. If you want to go unbound, if you want to do where you purchase your own materials for the collection, reach out directly to me, and I will turn around and get you in touch with the right person at Follett for that.
Cool.
I'll put my email address in the chat too.
Yeah. Well, I guess I will start to close us out then. Thank you all so much for participating today. We really appreciate it. We know that these are crazy times, and again, we're here to help. We want to be a resource for you all. So please reach out to us if you do have any questions. If you want to follow up on anything, we'd be happy to talk more about it. Good luck this semester. We hope that everything goes well. Stay in touch with us. Look for, sign up for our e-news, sign up for those email lists, and we'll see you very soon. So thanks everyone, and thank you, Anna, for a great presentation.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, have a great day.